Hi, it's time for another Technique Tuesday on the Million Memories blog. I'm Jenny and I'm going to show you how to do a few techniques with acrylic stamps, kind of the alternative way, not just with ink and paper. So let's get started. Alright, this first technique that I'm going to be showing you involves some modeling paste, your favorite acrylic stamp, and I'm going to be using a piece of chipboard to show you. You could use this on your paper or whatever you want to use it on. I'm going to be using a circle punch, a circle stamp, a photo, and some Shimmer's Vibes. So the first thing you want to do is spread some modeling paste that you can just pick up anywhere. You can buy the good stuff, the cheap stuff. This really doesn't matter. You're going to be covering it up. So I'm going to put just a little bit on my chipboard and I'm just going to spread it around. The thicker you put this on, the longer it will take to dry, of course. And you're going to want your paste to be somewhat dry before we do this little technique. And I'm just going to do a little spot. You, of course, could cover the whole area, but I'm just going to show you how this works. So cover your area with a thin coating of it, and then we're going to let it dry. I'm going to run my heat tool over it, and we'll be right back. Alright, I just used my heat tool on the modeling paste, and I mean it's semi-dry where I can run my finger over it and it's not going to smush it too bad, but I can still feel a little moisture in there, so I know it's ready to work. So I'm using a cute little stamp by Glitz Design. It's got a little circle cut out in it. I'm going to place that right over my modeling paste and gently press the acrylic stamp into the modeling paste. Make sure that each section is pressed into it. And then gently lift that up. Okay, it might be kind of hard to tell, but you've made kind of an impression here on your chipboard. And then we're going to let this dry further because we want this to be completely dry for our next step. Okay, before we go on, I just wanted to take a second and show you how easy it is to clean up your acrylic stamps when you're using goopy stuff like modeling paste. In fact, I think it's easier than stamping with ink because I cannot get my stamps clean. So don't be afraid to experiment with different mediums and different textures with your acrylic stamps because, I mean, like you can tell, it just comes right off. Okay, so now that this is completely dry, I've got my impression of my little stamp that's kind of distressed around the edges, which I love. You could be more careful if you want a more perfectly stamped image. You could stamp with ink, you could stamp with a Versamark ink that would resist. There's a lot of different things you could do. So right now I'm going to just put a little bit of color on here with some Shimmer's Vibes. And I'm just going to spritz over here, run my heat tool. Shouldn't take too long. You can see how the color is seeping down into the little crevices. You can use other mediums to color it with, like ink or acrylic paint. There's all kinds of things you could cover this with to give it some added depth and texture. So I like how that's looking. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to take it any further, but I would probably take it further, add a couple different colors to it, actually maybe run an ink pad over it. But since that's dry, I'm going to show you, you can just run a sand block over it. And that adds even more dimension to it. Gives it kind of a fun, shabby look. The more you rub, the more that pattern comes out. Hopefully you can see that pattern emerge. And then, I can get this to work right. I'm going to put this little circle stamp from 7 Gypsies around it. And then I'm going to take my photo and can punch out little Katie's face. And I can put that right there. And I can take my scissors and cut around it and have a fun little embellishment. Alright, here's another sample of something that I just played with as well. It's the same technique, I just was able to spend a little more time on it since we don't have the time crunch with the video camera. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you, this is just a plain piece of chipboard, and you can sand off the edges and make the white come back through, and it's really pliable and super fun. And I'm going to show you some more dimension you can add to it. I'm just going to use this antique lace shimmers with my finger here and just kind of rub it into the creases. And it just gives some more added dimension. When this dries, you can go back and sand this off as well. So there's just so many different things that you can do with this technique. So I hope you have fun with this one. Okay, another technique is to just use paint instead of using ink. I'm going to show you how this looks just using pearls, Shimmer's pearls. You just rub a little bit onto your acrylic stamp and just randomly dab it onto your paper. And it creates a really fun distressed look. This stamp is from Glitz Design. It's one of their distressing stamps. It's really fun. You can also use just regular acrylic paint for a different look. Of course, combining the two together would be kind of fun too. So you don't have to use ink with these. You can use anything really, and it creates a fun look. And again, it washes off really super easy and doesn't stain your stamps. So I hope you have fun trying some of these.